Great Writers Media.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Larry Carnes, and welcome to Books of the Month. We're so glad that you would join us for another powerful and exciting broadcast, and we have a very special guest with us today. Dr. Victoria, how are you today?
I'm phenomenal. Thank you, Dr. Larry.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. Do this for us. Introduce yourself to our viewing audience. Tell them a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm a retired wellness doctor, which means many things to many people. But in my world, as an OB-GYN, I actually hormone balanced my patients to optimal health. And they felt so good that they asked, could I do the same thing for their spouses, for their daughters, for their mothers, for their sisters? So that's what I did, was hormone balance my patients for optimal health.
Wow, that's powerful. Optimum health, that's a very powerful word and speaks volumes when you speak of optimum health. Optimum is the greatest and most favorable degree. And so that's awesome. We're so excited about that. And you've written this book, Blossoming, Becoming a Woman, Discover the Secrets to Balancing Your Hormones and Your Life. Blossoming, Becoming a Woman, Discover the Secrets to Balancing Your Hormone and Your Life is a groundbreaking guide for making a safe and exciting journey from girlhood to womanhood. Now, that speaks volumes. Talk to us about that and share with our viewing audience what propelled you to write this book.
Well, adolescents are the forgotten female. If we think about how we treat the daily interactions with our adolescent daughters, we dismiss them as drama queens. We send them to their room. They're trying to tell us they don't understand what their body is going through. They may be having irregular periods or a lot of cramping, or they're very emotional. We as moms went through it. We had to, quote, deal with it. But many times moms are going through the same hormonal swings, up and down, crazy up and down, that their teenage daughters are. But who does the adolescent get to see? The pediatrician, who has no clue what to do with that adolescent. And so instead of mom and daughter being adversarial about this, why not be advocacy for each other? Why not put the mother and the daughter on the same page, empower both of them to understand how the teenage body is working, because that's really how the mom's body is also working, and let them advocate for each other, and especially for the teenage daughter. Let them be advocates instead of adversaries.
Yeah. So I hear you talking about, here we have two females on different ends of the spectrum, if you would, both experiencing hormonal things that are going on in their bodies.
Correct.
And instead of being what we would say allies, there's a possibility that they can become combatant in that. Now, unpack that for us, because that speaks volumes into something. And then I want to ask you this also, Dr. Victoria. What do we do when we have a single man who's parenting an adolescent daughter who's going to be facing these things? How does that man factor into the equation?
Well, to answer the first question, yes, the mother and the daughter are both going through crazy hormone swings. If you realize hormone is going to have a bell curve of what that hormone level should be. Adolescents have never gone through it. The pediatrician's office doesn't have a clue how to handle it. They're used to child exams.
Okay.
They're used to seeing them for shots in about 5 minutes per room. And all of a sudden, here's the adolescent and her mom or her dad going, I've got cramps. Well, we'll put you on the pill. Well, no, I don't want to go on the pill. Well, that's all I have for you. So see you. And that adolescent just screwed up all of her courage to come out and say that. And she just got dismissed by the doctor. Mom is taken off work. Mom is now angry because she's got work to make up. She didn't want to take that time off. So now they have no answers. They're back to square one. And now what are they going to do? So the daughter will usually go up and consult Dr. Google or her best girlfriends. What are they doing? Is that where you want your teenage daughter getting her information? Absolutely not. So at the same time, if it is a single dad who is raising his daughters, he needs even more so this information about how to understand what his teenage daughter is going through, how to advocate for her so that she gets the help that she needs to understand how her body works.
Wow, that's powerful. And so now, because this teenager is entering uncharted territory, and rather than get it from unknowledgeable resources who don't have a clue what they're talking about, you said something that's very interesting. When I carry my child to a doctor at a young age, they're dealing with one thing, and they don't really know how to deal with the adolescent who's entering a period of his or her life. Now, her life, here it is, because this happened. I know some young ladies, when they came on their cycles, the parent had not prepared them for that. And they were in school.
And I had that happen to me. Ultra traumatic, because I had a male teacher who embarrassed me by asking me why I was late to class. And I said I had something personal to handle. And he made me stand up and explain to the rest of the class what my personal issue could be that was more important than being in his classroom.
Wow.
It was highly embarrassing. And once the damage is done, it's done. So it was something that was ingrained in my heart, ingrained in my brain. And I thought, I will never let any other adolescent girl go through that level of embarrassment. They need to know how their body works. Their mothers, their advocates need to be there for them. So let's give them a resource to be able to do that with. And there's a section in the back of the book, a whole chapter that says how to talk to your doctor. Wow, who knew?
It says, say that again, how to talk to
your doctor.
Yeah.
Realize that hormone balancing is not taught in medical school. If it's not taught, then how can a doctor help? You need to know the information as the mother and the daughter, so you can take this back to the doctor and say, let me show you the labs I want done. Here's how I want my hormones balanced according to this graph in the book. This is where I need to be, my daughter needs to be optimally, so that we can take care of the symptoms that she has. And I will tell you, the symptoms can be more than just PMS. They go from head to toe, and it may even mean short-term memory loss. It may mean poor sleep habits. It may mean constipation and reflux. It may mean uber dry skin that you're chasing a dermatologist for eczema for. It can be mid-abdominal weight gain that you cannot explain. There may be that your daughter is shaving and there's no reason for a teenage daughter to be shaving. So there are many symptoms and signs that go along with hormone imbalance that medicine simply covers up.
Wow. So if I'm hearing you correctly, now you just touched upon something, a daughter shaving or hair growing on her face. Are you saying that's the result of hormones being out of balance?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. That is actually a classic sign of polycystic ovary disease, which is more male hormone than female. Well, wait a minute. We're women. We don't work off of a male metabolism. We work best off of female metabolism.
Yes.
So knowing that it's genetic, knowing it's not their fault, but yet being told there's nothing I can do for you because, quote unquote, all I can do is put you on the pill. That's not going to the root cause to find the reason for why. Most people want to understand, why does my body work this way? They need answers.
Now, when I'm listening to you, Dr. Victoria, I'm thinking about, now my mind shifted to the DNA.
Mhm.
If a daughter, of course, blood type, father's blood type, daughter's blood type, daughter has the blood type of a father, would that contribute to some of this hormonal imbalance that you're talking about?
Perhaps, but unfortunately, there isn't a lot of research being done on polycystic ovary. We don't know if it's a one-to-one. It likely has multiple genes, like diabetes, which has as many as 20 genes. So if you inherit 5 of the 20, you may have a mild diabetic state or a mild polycystic ovary state that may not show until you can't get pregnant in your 30s. Or you may get 10 of the 20, which means you have symptoms that show earlier, or 15 out of 20, which means you may have symptoms that show in your adolescence. It's not just a you have it or you don't. It's how many shades of how many of these genes do you have? When does it show based on how many of these genes do you have?
Now, I heard you say something a little while ago. You talked about the experience that you had in school, a traumatic experience. And when I heard you say that, it brought something to my mind, the moment, the memory, and now you have a message that came from that experience. And you talked about how it being just very traumatic. With that occurring in your life and it occurring in the lives of other young girls, teenagers, how impacting is that as they continue to navigate their journey and grow into adulthood, womanhood?
Well, extremely impactful. The social being that a teenage girl is, their life revolves around their friendships, it revolves around their social contacts. And to be embarrassed by a male figure that is like a father figure, it's a
Yeah.
teacher, somebody you're supposed to respect and look up to have that person deliberately single you out and embarrass you in front of your peers and friends and perhaps, you know, different people that are on your sports teams or you have to go to lunch with. You've got to sit at that table. Those are very difficult times for kids. They may not have all of the social skills to be able to handle what to say, how to handle their behavior when they're being perhaps teased, maybe even bullied for it.
Yes. Now, as you said that, it brought something to my remembrance when we deal with people who've had traumatic events to take place in their lives. We have unhealed hurts, unmet needs, and now unresolved issues. And those things can hold that young lady, that young girl, that teenager hostage. And there's something that comes to my mind. We can find a young girl going to a self-imposed institutionalization because she's been embarrassed and it was so traumatic. I want you to think about that for a moment. We're going to get ready to take a break. Listen, don't go any place. Such a powerful conversation that needs to take place. Dr. Victoria is sharing with us some information that you need to share with your teenage daughter. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Is your car costing you a lot of money?
I swear, every time something goes wrong, it costs $1,000.
Stop worrying about what might go wrong with your car. Call now and get your Carefree Auto Card at no cost today. Activate it to protect your wallet from big car expenses. So call the number on your screen right now and we'll send your Carefree Auto Card at no cost today. Activate it and you'll get the same protection for up to 4 more of your cars free.
Call 1-800-483-7173.
Welcome back. Such a powerful conversation that's taking place. Education is so valuable and so important. And what Dr. Victoria is talking about is educating your young daughter as she's making the transition in life. She's progressing in life. She's not going to be stagnant. Her body's going to be changing. Her hormones are going to be changing. And Dr. Victoria has so eloquently laid out for us how the mother at the same time is going through things with her hormones changing. And many times there can be a clash. But Dr. Victoria says there's a way to get around that so that they don't clash, but they can communicate. They can become one with each other and communicate and help resolve some of these issues that these young teenage girls are facing. So, Dr. Victoria, you say something here. Now, as I was researching and looking, it says that this book that you've written is groundbreaking for making a safe and exciting journey from, of course, girl, teenager, womanhood. The passion that I'm hearing you talk about came out of some hurt that you experienced in a classroom. Was that the moment is that why you went into medicine and you started to embark upon this journey?
No, I actually backdoored my way into medicine. I was going to be an interpreter for the UN with foreign languages.
Wow.
So, well, I was writing my speech for high school graduation to talk to my fellow students. One of the teachers I never had looked over my shoulder and he said, "What are you writing?" And I said, "Get out of here. You'll hear this at graduation." And he said, "Well, I want to hear what you're going to say to your fellow students." I said, what my message was. And he said, "Well, I want to know what you want to be when you grow up too." And I said, "I want to be an interpreter for the UN." And he laughed at me. A teacher laughed at my dream. And I said, "You have no right to laugh at my dream." I said, "If you're so smart, what do you think I'm going to be?"
Wow.
And he said, "You're going to be a doctor." And
Are
I
you
went
serious?
home and I told my father that. And he goes, "Well," crossing his arms, "why not?" And I thought, oh my God, you too? So back in the 70s, early 70s, women didn't go to medical school. If anything, they became nurses.
Yes.
And so I thought over the summer, well, I can fit my foreign language with my science. Well, when it came to setting up classes, I couldn't set them up. So I did the science first, fell in love with the science, and then the rest is history.
Now that's so powerful. So here you are. Now I'm going to have to ask this question. Was the teacher who laughed at your dream, was that a male or a female?
A male.
So you've had two experiences here coming from males that really impacted you in a negative way, but this male said you're going to be a doctor. What was it, or do you know that you ever had the conversation about what he saw, even about what you wrote, that would compel him to say that you were going to be a doctor?
I never asked him where it came from. That's not something a student really starts challenging a teacher with. So I didn't have that comfort level to challenge him in that conversation back. But it was obviously a life-changing pivot in my direction because it impacted the courses I took in college.
Yeah.
And it impacted the direction that I went. But I didn't get into medical school right away. I did research. And with research, then learning the love of answering the question of the root cause. Why? Why does something happen? That when I did enter medical school, that was my passion, was not just getting the information in and accepting it. It was, but why? Why does that work that way? I was the incessant 2-year-old, and I taught all of my patients to be the same. Never settle for just being told, here's the answer. Always ask why if you don't understand.
Because there's always a reason to the what's taking place.
Correct. And unless you understand it, you will never be able to work with it or get on top of it or manage it. And that's exactly what managing female hormones is about, not just in adolescence, but in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, even managing it in and through menopause and beyond. The research tells us differently from American research versus European research that hormone balancing can actually, are you ready? Prevent breast cancer, prevent heart attack, prevent stroke, prevent and reverse osteoporosis, prevent and reverse Alzheimer's.
Now that speaks volumes, because I've heard of hormones that when they're brought into balance or brought under control, there are things that you can do, and they are preventative. When you have your hormones under control and there's a balance, that it is a preventative inner healing that takes place that will prevent some of those things that you just mentioned. And so now we talk about this book. What are some contents, some of the chapters that you would say the viewing audience needs to give attention to, and why they should go out and want to get a copy of your book?
Well, first of all, you need to know that there is science behind where your optimal hormone levels should be. It isn't simply, oh, you should be between here and here. It's where should your optimal levels be as you are climbing up that bell curve.
Yes.
And then not only understanding your optimal from the graphs, which are my original research, but then seeing what are the symptoms that go along with if your estradiol is too low, or your progesterone is too low, or your testosterone is too high. Knowing that lifestyle is important, your dietary, your exercise, knowing that there are going to be case studies in there. I've had moms bring their daughters in saying, oh my gosh, my daughter read the case study about Rachel, and she said, Mom, that's me. We have to go see this doctor. And then, of course, the section in the back that tells patients how to talk to your doctor. Doctors are busy. They give you 2.5 minutes. You need to say in 2.5 minutes everything you need to say to get that doctor to pay attention to you. So it's concisely laid out. It tells you the labs you're looking for, why you're looking for them. If you need to, bring the book with you and show them the doctor right there. This is why everything that's printed right here, this is what I want drawn.
Now, what you just said, I'm thinking about something. I can recall doctor's visits. And many times when we enter a doctor's office, the doctor says, okay, give me your diagnosis. Tell me what's going on with you. So what's happening? Give me information. Share, disseminate information to me. And then based upon the information that's given to the physician, then that physician will begin to do some things from that point on.
That works if you have more than 2.5 minutes. Now you realize you have an adolescent in front of you, and that adolescent is looking at that white coat of that doctor and thinking, well, I have cramps. And there may be 5 other things she wants to say, but that's all that comes out. So therefore, that's the cue that the doctor works from. And they may not be able to have enough time or to have enough gumption to be able to say everything they want to say. So why not have their symptoms written down on the worksheet that I supply in the book that says I have these 5 things, but my number 1 is my cramps.
So you've given a guide, a template, if you will, of things that you to address and to talk to your doctor about. Takes the guesswork out.
Correct.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Share with our viewing audience just a few key components, a few nuggets that you consider to be very valuable to them.
Well, as far as symptoms that they can recognize in their teenage daughter, the first thing that they may notice is short-term memory loss. They may actually tell their daughter, I'll pick you up at 3 o'clock, and their daughter's not there. And when they question them, how come you weren't there? Well, you never said, yes, I did, and I texted it to you. Oh, Oh, yeah, I guess you did. So that may seem trivial, but that's actually potentially hormone imbalance.
Okay.
There may be sleep disturbance. There may be exaggerated PMS. 1 month, they may be normal emotional reactions to things. The next month, it may be absolute depression. The following month, it may be total sadness and crying. And the following month, they may be back to normal. So it's difficult to know what version of their daughter they're going to see. And that's extremely hormonal as you are doing your up and down hormone shifting on your way up your bell curve.
Yes.
You may have constipation. You may have migraines and headaches starting, that they may only be happening right before a period starts, but it can be debilitating, keeping that daughter from going to school because a migraine that has a light component to it means they have to shield their eyes from light. So missing school on a regular basis is usually not looked upon as a good thing, either by parents who now have to supervise their daughter at home, or to the school who considers them truant.
This is so educational and insightful. I would like for you to do this. We have a couple of minutes left. Disseminate any contact information that you might want to disseminate to our viewing audience, be that website, email address, or any way that they can get in contact with you.
But the best way is my website has not only my adolescent book, it has my second book, Full Bloom, Perimenopause, Menopause, and Beyond. But it also has the radio shows that I've done locally and nationally, as well as YouTube's, and just a wealth of information. So it is Dr. Victoria J. Mondloch, MONDLOCH.com. Again, Dr. Victoria J. Mondloch.com. That website has a host of information. I can send to you, Dr. Larry, a books flyer, the hormone symptoms single page worksheet, so that if you would like to have that on your radio show or your show site, that can be a download to anybody listening, that they can get that information directly from you.
Very helpful tool, very helpful tool. I tell you, sometimes we just don't really think about how hormones have such an impact in the lives of people, but I'm hearing this in the lives of young girls who are transitioning and puberty and all those things. I heard you mention that it's so easy to put them on the pill, but the pill doesn't really address or won't cure what's really going on, because you said it can be emotional, it can be psychological, so many things. Thank you so much for disseminating this information and sharing it with us.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity too.
It's been a pleasure. I'm Dr. Larry Carnes. You've heard this wealth of information that Dr. Victoria has shared with us. Have that conversation, but I think one of the most important things that we've learned from this interview is that you need to get the education to have the conversation. Dr. Larry Carnes, thank you for joining us for Books of the Month. We'll see you again right here next time on Books of the Month.
Visit us at www.greatwritersmedia.com. Email us at info@greatwritersmedia.com or call us at +1 877 556